Ian?
Hey, we on?
We are on. How are you?
I can hear you. Good, thank you.
I like your background. That's a different background to when we spoke before.
There you go. I've moved.
That's an interesting something behind you. Very nice. Well, welcome. Thank you very much for allowing me to interview you. If I can just introduce you to our audience.
Sure.
It's an absolute delight to have you. So you're currently EMEA Sales Director of NASABox. You're an industry cloud social influencer and sales leader. You speak on social selling, and you've been awarded, and personal branding, and you've been awarded the BESMA UK Sales Director of the Year Award. So it is my pleasure to have you here today to talk to us about social branding and why a sales leader should be concerned with this. So tell us, what is social branding?
Yeah, so personal branding, social branding, it's not as illustrious as it sounds. It's simply about how you appear when someone finds you digitally. Now, historically, outside the COVID situation we all find ourselves in, anyone in sales and sales leaders will remember the phrase, first impressions count. We were all taught that, polish your shoes, dress appropriately to the meeting you're going to have in person, and you behave that way. And yet, when you go digitally, a lot of people just don't have that mental mindset of thinking about, have you polished the shoes digitally? Have you, got the haircut, etc. How do you come across? And in person, we always hear the first few seconds, the first 6 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever, it varies. People make judgments, and that's the human psyche. We can't help that. People are doing the same of you digitally. And today with COVID, I would argue this is more important than it's ever been before, because the first impression engagement people get with you will be digital, even if it's a screen like this. If you're going to jump on a screen share with someone, whether it be a customer, a prospect, a candidate, whoever, there's more chance today they're going to check you out digitally than any other time, because they're not going to get to come and see your office. They're not going to get a feel for things. We feel, and I've read some surveys recently about why it's more stressful to do the video side, because it's 2D, right? Whilst we can physically see each other, you're not getting all the human insights and data input you normally get from a 3D engagement and world. So how do you look digitally? And have you searched your own name and seen what comes up? And on your social profiles, have you spent any work or taken any attention to caring about how you appear come across? Or have you just defaulted to tick, I've got a profile, I've done that job, moved on, and you haven't revisited it in years? And that's what I often see people doing is, I've got a profile, I've forgotten about it. I don't nurture it. And it's very much like in person. I had a haircut 4 years ago. Why do I need to have another? Why do I need to shine my shoes again? I've done it once. You have
What about these people that say, well, we've got a social media person in our company and they do all of that they do all of that first impression company stuff on the company page, and they do all the posting, they do all the stuff. My personal profile is my personal profile. What does it mean really, to me as a sales leader? How's that going to impact me?
So two sides, and I'll touch on one and for specific side you come from, Louise. That's great. So your company has to look good online, personal, the brand of the organization. But when people buy from you, or when you are employing someone or going to recruit them, are they buying or working for the company or you? Right? Who do they meet? Do they meet the company? Do they come and meet the building and stand and look at the building and the brand and the logo and the data sheets? Or do they meet a human being and engage with you? Do you believe your salespeople don't need to be as professional and possible? They make no difference in the sale. Is it just your company brand and your salesperson turns up and thank you very much? Because if you believe that, you've got to understand, well, it's down to the individual, right? People buy from people, people engage with people.
I can really echo that as well, because, being a sales recruiter, the amount of times that people accept jobs on the back of, it's that person, I really bought into that person, I really want to work for that person. Yes, they like the company, they want to make sure it's financially sound and all that kind of thing, but it's actually the individual. And in the same breath, when people leave a business, they don't leave the company, they leave normally that leader. So yeah, I think that's really valid.
Yeah, and I think in today's world, the world's changed, right? Social selling, I won't go into that because I spend hours on that, but social selling isn't about selling online, it's about using social media as a leverage, as a tool in your kit bag to engage with prospective customers. It doesn't replace everything you know, and it's just another tool you have. But the fundamental of doing that is, well, you better look good as the best you can online in the first place, because the first part of social selling is the digital handshake where you look at each other's profiles. And when I'm doing recruitment as a sales leader, I always look at the candidate. And when they come in for the interview, I always, this is a tip if anyone's looking at this in the future and finds this, is one of the questions I'll always ask is, what do you know about the company? And I expect them to know some stuff and have done their research. But I always ask them then, if there's myself and Shona in the room, or myself and Steve in the room, I'm going to say, you knew you were meeting us, did you? Yeah, no, I knew I was meeting, great. Tell me 3 things about each of us that you know. And I'm looking for, not have they stalked us, but have they done their homework on the basics? How do you behave when you see a customer? I'd expect you to have checked us out and be able to say, Ian, well, I do know that you also know Steve Smith, who I used to work with. I don't know how well you know him, but it looks like you used to, and you've done some, yeah, good spot, because that's what I expect a salesperson to do in today's dynamic world. And you should demonstrate that at interview. As a sales leader, shouldn't I have checked them out? And I look for things such as, how does their profile look? If it's a salesperson and I look at their profile, or a sales, and they have no photo, that tells me they don't understand the basics of this medium. And I don't expect them to be an expert. You can coach them and you can learn, but if they're not getting the basics,
I totally agree with that, because as a recruiter, if somebody hasn't got a picture on their profile, I either think they've got something to hide, or they don't feel that they look the part in order to be able to put a photo on, or they're not up to date with technology because they don't know how to do it, or they're just not regularly using one of the best methods in the industry to get a job and to sell. So all of that is a massive big cross in the application.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, it's sometimes they're always, well, I want to look my best, great, but I don't know which photo to choose, and I didn't know, I think I had a good photo. Firstly, it's worth investing in having a good photo taken. And secondly, you can test it. And I know we've touched on this when we met before. The reason my photo is on there with glasses on rather than off and facing the direction it is rather than the other direction is I test it. There's a site called photofeeler.com. You can either pay to do it, or you can just judge a few other people, do a few votes, and then get your free credits and do it for free. But you can put your photo in and allow other people out there in the world who know nothing about you, don't know your name, where you're from, anything. They've got no contextual point apart from that picture to judge trustworthiness, influence, etc. So there's a few criteria. It's quick, and then you get the summary results, and you can test multiple pictures. And I tested.
It's amazing, actually, because when you told me about that before, I actually did it, and it was just so the one that I liked the best wasn't the one that got the results. It was just, and it's amazing how people can assess your trustworthiness by a photo.
And remember, it's not. What's happening is it's taking a statistic from an audience who don't know you, so they've got no outside influencing factors. People tend to go, as you said, they look at it themselves and go, well, I think I look good in that one. Or they'll ask friends and family. They're biased. They know you, etc. This is going totally unbiased audience, which is what people who come to view your profile in the majority would be, and it gives you the honest truth of first impression from the photo alone. And that's what most people, when they hit any profile, the human brain looks at imagery. We all know that a picture paints 1,000 words. They'll look at the image first and make a judgment of, oh, okay, are they going to read the rest of it? And you can argue it's wrong and it's superficial, but it's how the human brain works, and you can't change that of your audience. So play to it and maximize that you get the best results out of that you can.
So what do, that's brilliant advice. Thank you so much. And I never heard of that before I'd met you. So really, really important. What do you think, going back to sales leaders, what do you think they can be displaying or posting or commenting in order to make them look like an employer of choice, a sales leader that people want to work for?
So the first thing about that is anything you do, you need to be authentic, because you can't fake it, right? And that's the same, that's part of social selling. So if you're, don't create content or post stuff that isn't true, because what you're doing is just setting a facade up to be knocked down later. So be genuine. But if you're passionate about mine, questioning, I've written articles and blogs and commented on, people, you see comments on sales, etc. There's plenty of sales groups, but things like LinkedIn, or you can go and look at the Association of Professional Sales, the Institute of Sales Management, who have memberships. And if you look on my profile, you'll see I'm a member of those organizations, and I proudly post that. And I will contribute to those organizations as a sales leader through offering up my content and doing webinars with them, or partaking on panels. So if you want to go down that route, the more you can be seen as a thought leader or can give something back, it gives something back to you, right? The fact I have contributed and been on webinars and things, I can post and link that content to my profile, which gives me credence in the industry and allows people, and this does put you out there, but allows people, if they wish, to go and watch that content. So if they're going to meet me or come for an interview and be attracted, they go and say, I've had people come back and say, actually, well, I've come across you and seen some of your posts, and I've read some of your stuff you've posted, or seen your webinar or your video on YouTube, etc. You've linked to from the profile so they can find it easily. And I really thought it was really interesting, and it pushes them to want to engage with you as a human. Mm-hmm. Because most salespeople, and I had this in my experience, I was coached by 3 sales leaders at the beginning who all had different skills, backgrounds and journeys, but I wanted to suck up information from them. I didn't want someone to say, go and read this book, or go and just get on with it and learn on the job. I wanted someone to coach me, mentor me, and I still learn from people around me today, and I learn from people I employ. And people look for that. I've had, you mentioned, but I've had people very flatteringly say, during the interview process and get feedback of, they're really enjoying the conversation and they've learned stuff through the process already. And they can see that one of the values they'll get in joining your company is what they're going to learn from you as an individual to become better at themselves. And what you post on your profile is your brand, right? And what I would say to people is, you're not nurturing it. Well, my company doesn't do this or doesn't it. Right. Are you going to be with this company for life? Have you only ever worked for one company? No. Okay. Your personal brand you build goes with you wherever you go. So if you look at my LinkedIn profile, what's on there, and people have said to me it's quite extensive. I didn't sit and do all that when I first logged on and created it. I nurture it. Like you would a plant, I pour water on it. So as I move forward, if I get an accreditation or I do a webinar, I've created a bit of content. Great. Let's make sure I go and post it in there, put the right image, link. So now that becomes my master copy where everything is linked off from, that I can go and find stuff or route people to. So it becomes richer over time.
It's almost like a library of information of you as a person, how you've got to where you are today, and who's in what accreditations you've got, who's endorsed you. So just to recap where the things that we spoke about already then. So get a good photo, use something like Photo Feeler and get the real response of what people think it looks like a good photo. Be authentic. Make sure you display the things that you're proud of, such as membership organizations, accreditations, where you won awards, and start building and nurturing your profile so that, you're building up almost a resource bank of yourself as an individual.
And let me give it an additional simple one that people miss time and time again, is get recommendations, not the tick box ones, but get people to, and people have often said, well, I hadn't thought about that. It's like, really? That's the reference selling. That's the fundamental of sales, right? And as a leader, you want to exhibit to your sales team and potential employees the behaviors and the cadence you apply. And there's your perfect example. And I've had people look at that and go, oh, yeah, I'm interested in working with you because I've read what other people who've worked for you have said. Well, if other employees and parts of your team, if someone leaves my team, and I had someone leave recently who'd been with us through 3+ years, so, they they'd done their work with us, they had an opportunity. And I said to them, if you enjoyed it, yeah, it's fantastic. I'm really going to miss working with you. Right, wouldn't mind writing a comment, would you? And I had them write, I sent them a link. I said, if you wouldn't mind, because what they'll put then is, well, I worked for this person and this is the, what I learned from them. This is the profile and brand I got. This is the value I got from them. Mm-hmm. Someone else who you're interviewing sees that. What a perfect advert, rather than you telling them. There's no good you telling them that you're brilliant, you work hard, etc. Mm-hmm. And you deliver value. And it's what other people say. It's that third-party recommendation.
Really important.
If you do a webinar and they say, fantastic, the audience loved it, great, fantastic, thanks for that. Or you do a podcast guest, or you do a blog and you get good feedback, fantastic, thanks for the feedback. Wouldn't mind putting it on there, would you?
Yeah,
because it's great telling me, but no one else is ever going to hear it if you tell me, and me repeating it to someone later. Great.
Yeah, no, right, I always go to that testimonial section, endorsement section. I think it's really, really, really valuable, and it tells people something about you, that people have actually taken the effort and the time to write that about you. Then it shows your value and the service that you give them, or as an employer. What would you suggest? So if a sales leader is looking to promote themselves as the company to work for, the individual to work for, what kind of things might they share in posts to be able to promote their company values, or anything else that you think would be valuable?
Yeah, so I think look at your company values and exhibit them, right? So and that's in making your profile personable and interesting. Too many just simply state at the top, it's all fact, fact, fact. If you look at mine, and I learned this a number of years ago from someone else, and I'm always learning and looking and plagiarizing what other people do on their profiles and going, oh, I like that idea, I'll tune this. And mine I just put a simple thing at the top, talks around, I got into computing at age 14 because I was attracted. It's tell a bit of a human story. Mm-hmm. If you sat in front of someone and they said, well, how did you get into this? Why did you do this, etc.? You wouldn't start by going, well, I work for this and I sell cloud and I do this. And you embellish a little bit of a story that's got some feeling to it. Mm. Use that on your LinkedIn profile. People get too hung up on, and I need to improve mine. I've seen some other things recently, and that's one of the little tasks I've got on my list, and tune it a little bit more. But too many, it's literally fact, 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 fact. I'm a brilliant salesman, I'm a brilliant salesperson. But put color around it. Talk about, I enjoy coaching people. One of my passions is seeing people do this. And I'm very proud that people have worked for me multiple times and have enjoyed that. Put some stuff that people read and go, I get that. And they remember that. They don't remember bullet, bullet, bullet facts. It's not like a revision. Make it interesting. People remember stories.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And how important is it actually what they talk about when they're putting posts on social media, or what they comment on? What would you say about that and how that affects their personal life?
So just be conscious of whatever you put out there is exactly that. It's out there in the public domain. So my personal advice the obvious sensible ones are no profanities, no isms, nothing inappropriate, right? Even in a jokey manner, because the problem is, I've seen people do this and get flamed for it, meaning getting attacked socially, because you might joke to a friend sat next to you something and they know you and know you didn't mean that, and it's taken it in. But online, it's out of context. It has no reference point. The people reading it do not know you. And we've seen so many social media, people and stars on social media post something they later regret massively.
Oh, the one that springs to mind for me was the company. I don't know who it was, but they, as a joke, they covered all the desks up with cellophane and plastic packaging, and then it went absolutely mad on social because people were saying, "What a waste of material, everything," and they got absolutely slated. I can't remember what the name of the company.
Yeah. So you just got to think about what you're doing, right? Just be sensible. I do see large corporations say, well, you can't do anything on social and banning people. And I think that's the wrong approach, because social is all about people interaction and engagement. But you've just got to be sensible. It's your personal brand. Think about what you post, and comment appropriately. If you disagree, it's fine to disagree with some comment and post you disagree, but it's the tonality used to do it.
Yeah.
Don't attack, just give. I disagree with your point there, because my opinion is such and such, etc.
Do you know what I really love? What I see about sales leaders and what they put, which I think puts them in a very good light as an employer, is when they welcome their new hires on board, when they congratulate individuals for outstanding performance or long service awards. I think personal posts like that just really go a long way to show that you're a caring company, especially when it's like the MD, you know, and it's you sort of office person coming to head office. It's like everybody is valued and everybody counts.
And be willing to give comment or give back without it being an advertorial. I see too many where it's well and come to our site here. It's like no. Yeah, if you make sensible comments and people appreciate it, guess what? Your profile name and company name's against it anyway, because you're the postee, and that one click and they're on your profile anyway, and they'll see the company and they may get interested. So you can do it in a subtle manner of, well, that's great. You could do it far better by integrating and we've seen customers do this and this and this. You don't have to then go and come and talk to us.
Yes.
You've got, you know, you wouldn't do that in a human environment if you were at an event, which none of us are at today, and you overheard someone talking next to you at the coffee thing. Oh, I don't mind. But yeah, no, I've seen people do that, whatever. You wouldn't then say, and by the way, come and talk to me about it because we work for, you don't do that in the real world. You just chat and you let them ask.
Yeah.
You're making a conversation and you do it in a way that invited them to ask, well, how do you do that? Great, you've asked. You start to have an engagement. Think about how you would behave in person, and don't suddenly, because you're behind a screen, become agnostic to that and be brutal. Because too many people are, right? I'm sure you get it. Everyone listening to this will get it, where you get some message saying, oh, I'd really value your connection and because you're network and whatever. And then if you do accept them, because you look at their profile and think, yeah, okay, 5 minutes later, you got a full sales pitch.
Yeah, yes, yeah. It's just so obvious. Yeah. So you've got a lot of followers, haven't you, Ian? And I know that's not what you base everything on, but how many have you got?
Yeah, but that's come over years, right? I remember maybe, where are we now? I'm thinking about 10 years ago, I had something like 2,000 connections, right? On LinkedIn, you're probably thinking, but I have it on different platforms. But the more I've put out there and done blogs, been on panels, taken part, the more you contribute, the more you'll find if you give thought leadership, if you give insight, if you provide value, more people will choose to follow your content. And I get a lot of people reach out to me with connections. I hope you don't mind if we can connect, but I've been following your content for a while and I really enjoy reading this, or it's really valuable and I've found this, or I like this. You know, that's flattering to hear. It makes it worthwhile. But it takes time. You cannot come onto these things. And I think if you want instant gratification, and that's the same with social selling or personal, don't go onto these platforms and think suddenly in 3 months' time, well, I've posted a blog and I didn't get 4 million views of it, so therefore I failed. It takes time to build up a following, a profile, and people to engage. But if, you know, it's like the overnight success of comedians or book authors or whatever. You see them when they've got there. That's where you see me now. But you didn't see the journey. You didn't see all the stuff along the way. You've got to go through the journey. But believe me, I emphasize, by putting the effort in, it gets easier and easier, and it gives you the value. I get a lot of value back now out of people willing to take my connection because of the profile that I've built over an extended period, getting invited to do things, to be on panels, to speak, etc. Right,
so that's a lot on LinkedIn, but what about the other profiles? I mean, what are your thoughts on things like Twitter and Instagram and
so I initially focused on LinkedIn because I work in the B2B space in cloud computing technology, and that was the obvious one. But now, because of my accidental development becoming a social influencer for a number of different areas and platforms, I'm on all the platforms now. And I speak about them in personal branding, so to not be on them, be naive. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, etc. But people often ask me, well, which one should I be on? And my answer is, where's your audience persona? If you're in business, in graphic design, selling very graphical imagery or office design or things that are visual, Instagram may have a place for you. because your audience may be there and spot you there. If you've got something imagery, if you're selling widgets or enterprise technology software as a business or as an individual on that sphere, take out the social media and influence piece, what are you going to post on Instagram? Now you can have a private account on there to share photos or whatever, that's your own, or photography, but what are you going to post? Pictures of bolts and widgets, it doesn't work, right? So where is your audience? And I see too many people and businesses looking to trying to boil the ocean and trying to be on every platform and tick a box. We've got the logo of every platform on our website, which is fine if it's appropriate, but too many do it. And if you visit those platforms, you see they haven't posted on Facebook in 9 months. They haven't used Instagram in 6 months. Because it's hard, right? The more platforms you're on, the more you've got to keep up or use the appropriate tools to create and post the relevant content to those platforms. So why not pick? If 80% of your audience engages with you on Facebook, do Facebook, do it extremely well and focus on it, and don't worry about the others. The other 20% of your audience will find you on Facebook, because that's where you've said you'll be. They'll come and find you if they want it. Don't try and please everyone. You can't do it. It will take lots of effort and you'll do it poorly.
Fantastic. So where can we find out more about you? And, you know, have you got any webinars coming up? I know you do lots of this kind of thing. Is there one?
Sure. So yeah, the easy place is follow me on 2 main social business accounts, which are Twitter and LinkedIn. And here's another personal branding hint, which I picked up years ago. It's very cheap, but very easy. So if you want to go find me, go to ianmoyse.co.uk or ianmoyse.cloud. So ianmoyse.co.uk will take you straight to my LinkedIn account, and ianmoyse.cloud will take you straight to my Twitter account. I've got the same for all my profiles on different platforms. So I don't need to say to you, as an audience, go to LinkedIn and search my name, and then you might find, luckily my name's slightly unique, so there's only a few of us on there. But why should you have to go there and try and figure out which one I am and make 3 or 4 clicks? Go straight to that URL and it'll take you straight to my profile without doubt. And I've cross-linked the profiles as well. That's another simple tip. If you've got multiple profiles on different social accounts, let that one link to that one. So if someone finds you here, they don't have to go to Twitter and then search your name and try and match the photo up and then find you've used different photos. So they're not sure if that's you or not. Make it easy for your audience to find you and engage with you.
How do you cross-link them?
So literally on any of the platforms, if you go on LinkedIn, you'll find in your main profile header, you can put a link. Put your link to your Twitter account. And on Twitter, you can put a link there as well to one other account. Put it to the other way.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to interview you, and thank you so much for joining my new Facebook group, Sales Leadership Q&A. We'll look forward to engaging with you more on there. And this has been very, very valuable, and I'm sure that both of our audiences are really going to appreciate this. So
thank you
once again, and take care and all the best.
Thank you. Thanks, Louisa. Bye.
Thanks, Ian. Bye-bye.